Judgment time.
Welcome to Everything Comes Back to 2000 AD, and today I'm joined by Mr. Stephen Ross.
Mr. Rossy, what you want? Oh, the tree of ice cream cones, a cocoa castle for a home, custard cakes, coffee breaks, holiday world to say.
Happy New Year from rainy Southern California.
And Mr. John Burtis.
Hello to all you dwalkers out there from the Garden of England.
John isn't with us today because he has Sam all week, didn't he? He took a few weeks off.
And we won't be talking about the people who are with us, no longer with us at all, because we don't have any deaths.
Well, that's just John's thing, but there was one big one, and that's Bridget Bardot, but I'm sure John will talk about that when he comes back. So we leave the deaths to John. It's funny how
he sort of a short one, actually.
Yeah, well, he says that John always gives you shit about that you hardly ever work, and here's John, but what, didn't he take the whole month off?
He gets like 2 weeks. And he's not the only English. I think our friend Simon is taking a couple of weeks off, and I forgot who else. But it's sort of like this English thing that they just, the holidays come, you get Christmas, Boxing Day, Wrestling Day, New Year's, some kind of Saints Day probably stuck in there as well, and it's like,
well, Boxing Day is St. Stephen's Day.
Oh,
not the same.
Yeah, I still don't understand the what it is, but
just when the hoity-toities, the likes of Sir Jason, would give their servants like a little gift, like a box, like Boxing Day. Yeah,
I see. Okay,
I think that's what that is. John would probably need to correct me on that or expand on it.
I thought it was like if you didn't like your gift, you rebox it and
no,
pass it on.
No, it's definitely a class thing.
I see.
Now you understand why they lost 2 world wars, right?
Oh yeah. So, in fact,
for John, we just play along. We'll tell John, yes, well done, John. Britain won so many wars. It won the Vietnam War. It won the Trojan War. Good old Britain. It won World War I, World War II, all on its own. Well done.
So at the time,
he's fuming now. Listen to this.
Yeah, well, so years and years ago, when that comic came out called The Nom, I bought it because Michael Golden did the first few issues, and of course, I can say it with impunity. He drew the Micronauts. So
he actually did a great job in the Nom. Just the Nam turned to shit when he started putting the Punisher in it to boost sales.
Oh, I know. All credibility of like, yeah, this is the way it was, man.
You know what the idea behind Nam was?
The war or the comic?
To be published for the comic. It was only supposed to be published for a few years to reflect the Vietnam War. Like each year was like a year of the Vietnam War.
Oh, okay.
Did you know that?
No, I knew that the guy, well, it's like MASH that went on like how many years past the actual length of the war. But
no, I don't think it did. I think the Nam title itself was only supposed to last the same time as many years as the war did.
So,
and the writer was actually a Vietnam vet. I think he was a Vietnam vet.
Yes. Well, actually, I have a much longer. He used to go to the comic store. Well, he knew the comic store guys that I used to go to. The guy who passed away, that's like started our group that we still see each other every once in a while. That's not him. This was another comic store that I went to for a few years when I was working at the dry cleaners. He had a brother who owned a comic store in New York, and Doug Murray used to go to that shop. And apparently there were some Vietnam vets that there was an incident at the store, and it's a much longer tangential story. But so anyway, at the time that the Nam comic was being published or first came out, I got all the early issues because of Michael Golden's artwork, and I sent them to my friend over in England who's sending me the 2000 AD. It's Ken. And so Ken says, why? He says, oh God, the Nam. He says, why do Americans still fighting the Nam? And I'm like, bro, you guys have been fighting World War II for how long in comics now? So, and this was even before, I mean, when did they, are they still publishing Warlord on a basic, like Warlord and Commando on a regular basis, or did it stop?
Commando's still going.
Right.
The digest size, the library, Commando library, but all the war comics are more or less gone except for Battle. See, and that the popularity of war comics is completely gone. I mean, near enough. I mean, the only people that are keeping it alive are old farts in the 50s,
right.
Which bodes well for the Rogue Trooper movie. So, so
as
yeah,
long as there's old farts, that movie's got a fighting chance.
It's got a fighting chance, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, the only one is Battle, and they lumber it in with Battle action. So it's
and they do it like as a semi-regular special type thing, right?
Yeah, that's what Rebellion do. But Commando is still monthly. I mean, Commando still makes money. I mean, the thing is, it's black and white, like 60 something pages. Every I think it's once a month or twice a month, depending. But that's really cheap to produce. So they're not losing. Like if DC Thompson's losing money on it, I doubt it, because it'll pull the plug on it if it did. But it seems to be doing all right, Commando. Yeah. What else are we gonna say? What are we talking about?
Oh, I was saying that he was giving me shit for Americans still fighting the Vietnam War.
Yeah, and they're still fighting World War II.
And they never left World War II, right? Or even World War I, for that matter.
Well, Charlie's War was a unique strip. I don't think they would ever. There weren't that many World War I strips,
right?
Because it wasn't a cool war, right? It wasn't the war with all the tanks and the fighter planes, and you know what I mean. They only had the genesis of like you're basically bogged down in mud in the trenches in World War I. That's why you don't see. I've only ever seen one World War I video game. And it's done like a point and click adventure, and it's done really well because it's all factual and stuff. They took up a lot of facts. It was done as an educational tool, not just as a game. But you don't see World War I games because they're fucking terrible. What are you going to do? Stay in the trenches and die from the rats and poison and shit, and the chemical warfare? That's boring.
No, it's a horror. It's a war of horrors. Well, the thing is, like, done right, like Charlie's War, it's great for drama. Yeah, it's an excellent drama strip. But there's only so many. I guess there's only so many times, like, you watched your friend die, or
you get
rescue some guy, rescue somebody.
It's the most boring. They make the World War I would make the most boring video games. That's why World War II. That's why there's so many World War II games, because number one, you have the ultimate villains, right? The Nazis, the ultimate villains, and then you have all the cool stuff in World War II.
Plus, you have a very clearly defined villain. And
it's not the Austro-Prussian Empire. Oh no!
Yeah, depending on and the Kaiser and like, why
Yeah,
are we fighting this again? But
they did have a World War One comedy strip in one of the comic books, and it
oh
was done from
really?
a German point of view. I can't remember the character's name. Oh shit! I'll have to get it. But it was really
Baron
well
von
drawn.
Bomburst.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was like Von
Something like
something
that.
his name was. Yeah, I think he always failed.
Hmm.
Um. Oh God, I'll have to get it. I think Fleetway published it.
So, well,
I'll get that. I'll get that. Somebody will probably write and say, "Hey, it's this character." I'm like, okay.
lately I've been getting a lot of requests for um, World War II stuff for boys, but there's definitely a fight between what the boys want and between what the publishers are willing to give them, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like they want battlefield heroism, they want tanks and planes and
Yeah. Publishers don't want that. I was listening to an article on National Pinko Radio, and
that's
uh,
funny because did you get that from me or did you pick that up yourself?
no, I've always called it that. I've always called it National Pinko Radio,
Oh my
or
God, one of my coworkers used to call it that, and I thought that was the funniest thing.
yeah,
Anyway,
it's even when I first came to the U.S. and I was listening to it, I'm like, wow, this is slanted. It's not offering both points of view. This is completely slanted, and they do it in such a subtle way.
hmm
In some cases they do, but the last few years they haven't been subtle at all. But I was listening to an article on about books, book writers, and they say that the publishers, they went all in and all the diversity inclusivity stuff, and what they did was they pushed out white authors, male
hmm
white authors, and also male authors in general.
hmm
In favor of the he, she, they, them, and now there's hardly any male authors under the age of like teenage authors. There's hardly any, and there's less in the under 40s bracket.
Yeah, I mean it's well, and the Gen Xers are mostly
Oh, got that
women.
the other way around. There's some in the under 40s, but they're rare, and there's
Hmm.
nearly zero in the under 20s or under 25s.
Well, you have all age spectrums in the if they're women. The
Right. Yeah.
pyramid is kind of
Women have more or
like
less taken over the whole book
right,
market.
right. And the funny thing is, like that was so I'm mostly talking about kids' books, but that was the case back in the day because like the whole books thing was tied into being a teacher, and it was sort of like teachers and or um the rich wives of the elites that decided what the curriculum was going to be, because the Rockefellers, the Fords, and the Gettys and like those families put a lot of money into the school system, so they had a lot of say as to what books you were going to read, which is why a lot of them were about, and it was kind of like what they're interested in, so that's why you got a lot of finger quotes classics about rich white people, or and England was considered and John will agree, I'll agree with you here, John. um England was considered like the epitome of class and, you know, wealth and culture. So you got a lot of these books like Winnie the Pooh, The Secret Garden, even Jungle Book. You know, they were written by or about rich white kids. You know, poor little rich kid stuff. So, um, but now, but now that's absolutely not the case. So, um, where was I going with that? Oh,
Oh,
so when J.K. Rowling came along and wrote a story, I mean, basically it's still an elite private school story. Harry Potter is, but when she came along and wrote a story um, aimed at boys with action and a lot of things that boys would actually like to read, that was you can't even like imagine now how revolutionary that was, because a lot of it was kind of like, and a lot of it was tied into what they were being taught in curriculum, like, oh, this is a story about the Oregon Trail that ties into the unit about the Oregon Trail you're going to learn in social studies and history class, and oh, this is a book about just name some part of US history or whatever. That was the other thing that was big, was historical fiction. And if you didn't happen to be interested in the Oregon Trail, you were fucked as far as things to read, unless you read comic books or you hit your 10 years old or your tweens and you just make the jump into adult books and start reading Tarzan or Isaac Asimov or something like that. So
no kid is reading those books today.
What, Tarzan or Isaac Asimov? No kids reading a book right now. That is a huge problem in schools. They're like the problem now is like J.K. Rowling is far from being the darling of like a lot of the teachers and educators now because of things she said. But even so, that series is still so popular and so unstoppable that like it still sells tons and a lot of people read it. Percy Jackson has a lot of the box ticking. The later books in that series have a lot of the box ticking stuff. So if you're a boy and you don't like Percy Jackson, or you're not feeling subversive enough to read Harry Potter, or you don't like Spy School, you're kind of screwed unless your parents are willing to take you to a bookstore like mine, where I'll be like, oh, have you read Alex Rider? Oh, have you read and even Mickey O'Carroll's he wrote a really great superhero series that I used to recommend all the time, but now you can't get it in the States anymore. So and then there was another series that I recommend all the time called Skullduggery Pleasant, written by an Irish guy, Flint.
I'm sorry.
No, it's one of the best kid series I've ever read. He's actually doing comic. They did a Skullduggery Pleasant graphic novel drawn by one of the Judge Dredd artists,
Owen Coveney?
PJ Holden. No,
PJ Holden. PJ Holden.
Yeah.
No, thanks.
No. It's PJ Holden when he cares.
Oh.
So it's pretty good. But the book series, the graphic novel is kind of low key compared to the series. The series is like full of like Raymond Chandler's snappy dialogue and Indiana Jones fist fights and car chases and H.P. Lovecraft end of the world shit. It's wild, and to this I enjoyed the hell out of it as an adult. And I think the proof in the pudding is that people come back and get the next books after I recommend the first one. And but again, it's like the publisher just kind of like hot potatoed it and went like, we'll publish it for a while and we'll see what happens. Because part of the problem, and this is like the third time they've tried to do it, because the title Skullduggery Pleasant is kind of unwieldy, and nobody knows what the word skullduggery means in the States. And then they put his face, he's like a skeleton in a zoot suit, so they put his face on the cover, and there was like, oh, that's too scary for kids. So the second time they tried to publish it, they changed the title to Scepter of the something or
another. It's like what they did the Harry Potter books.
What? Oh, the Philosopher's Stone versus the Sorcerer's Stone. Yeah. So kids are too dumb to know what the sorcerer. Well, actually, they are now. Now you have to explain what a sorcerer is to them. There's so much stuff. We'll get into when we talk about movies, but there's like so much stuff that you and I take for granted that we knew by the time we were 10, 11, 12 years old, that like kids now don't know and actively don't care. And I'm listening to these horror stories on YouTube from teachers who are ready to quit. They went through the college system to get their degree and spent thousands of dollars and all that, and it's just now it's just chaos in the classroom, and it's a real split, because I see some pretty smart kids where I work because they're in a bookstore and supposedly they're interested in books, but I'm also seeing a lot of stuff like, no, you're just here to play with our toys and wreck shit and move on to the next thing. But
Well, that's because your educational system in California is shit.
that is true. It's probably
That's actually a true thing, though. It's one of the worst. If you all the southern states are now improving because they've gone back to basics, where any kid that causes disruption in the classroom is sent home. So kids are learning a lot more, and they're doing a lot of like, you can't use your mobile phone, your smartphone in the classroom. So kids are talking to each other a lot more, socializing a lot more, and also you can't learn anything with a disruptive classroom. And because those kids are no longer are sent home, and not the disruptive ones are sent home, the kids are actually learning stuff. So you're seeing an uptick in the southern states now, while in the blue states you're seeing it deteriorate a bit, because little Timmy, it's okay if little Timmy has a fit, because he needs to get his emotions and feelings out. You have a lot of that shit going on in liberal classrooms.
Yeah, well, excuse me, but that whole little Timmy and little Jimmy thing hasn't been a thing since like maybe the 70s. Now it's like little Braden, little Asher.
Yeah.
All these names, like you'd get beat up for being called that when you're that's not a good Bible name.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I don't doubt it. I mean, I'm lucky. I'm a kind of lucky-ish where I'm at, because I still do see smart kids who are kind of being pushed towards reading, and if they'll ask us, like, oh, my kid's curious about whatever, and we'll try to stoke that curiosity with as best we can. But the publishers are not helping.
Yeah.
So I mean, luckily some of the stuff that was good 20 years ago is still in print, and it's kind of like, okay, I can, like Skullduggery Pleasant, I think has to be about at least 10 or 15 years old, probably older than that. So, and it's still in print, and like I said, this is a third iteration, and there's been enough scary stuff out for kids that they're more comfortable putting him on the cover with the girl, and
I'm surprised they haven't made a movie of it or a TV show.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because when the book first came out, the author came to visit us, and we went out to dinner with him because he was in town from Ireland to go visit Steven Spielberg, because they wanted to make a movie based on it. But that was so long ago that I think we'll see the Rogue Trooper movie before we see that. So.
And what was the name of the book? Skullduggery what?
Skullduggery Pleasant. It's by Derek Landy, to be sure.
Oh yeah, they do have the skeleton guy on the cover.
Yeah, there's the British edition, which always had the skeleton guy on the cover, and then the American one, the first ones, they only, for a while there, they only had brought the first 3 books over. Now I think they brought most of the series.
I think there's 10 of them.
Oh, there's more than that now. Yeah, it's a lot, and then there's a sub-series, and
oh my god, this is just an opinion.
Oh,
I might have to cut that out.
You saw a picture of him?
Yeah, I might have to cut that out.
No, leave it.
Oh, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but
no, leave it in. It's fine. He is. He did seem like a very nice guy. So
yeah, I took a picture of him in the podcast team chat.
So.
I'm sure he's a great guy. Just I'm sure he doesn't look like that anymore.
Let's see.
That's a typical kids author look, though, isn't it?
No, that's him. He hasn't aged today. Either that or it's an old picture.
He looks way better now.
He looks
that
like
was that was his magician look, like the Chris Angel.
Yeah, and that picture of him with Skullduggery Pleasant in the background, that's from the British covers. The current artist look is there's like an American version, and then there's a that I you know, as with many things, I prefer the British version. So it's but yeah, it's a great series, and I've been recommending it like crazy as my Swiss Army knife. Like, oh, you like horror? Well, there you go. Oh, you like action? Here you are. Oh, you like funny stuff? That as well. But yeah, as far as choices, you'd think with all the we've got two very deep aisles of fiction for junior fiction and middle grade fiction, and that's not even in young adults, like in a whole other side of the department. And you'd think with all of those books that there'd be better choices, but it's kind of like you know it there kind of really isn't. And then you get into the weeds of like what they're being assigned to read versus, and some of that stuff is like, we get these reading lists for summertime, or it used to be worse because I've heard some of the schools have had to clean things up, but like we'd get these reading lists from the teachers just before summer, and actually I tell a lie, we didn't get them from the teachers, we would get them from the parents, because the teachers would never tell us, oh, this is going to be on the reading list, you might want to get like a half dozen copies of this. That would be a sign of weakness. So the parents would show us the reading lists, and I'd be like, I can tell exactly what decade this teacher started teaching because they haven't changed the list, and half the stuff's out of print. And is it Mr. and Mrs. Jones? Yeah, we've told them like 3 or 4 times already, this book's out of print, please find something else to assign. And it's like, one of the parents said, well, their defense was finding the book is half the assignment. And it's like, oh my God. Luckily, I mean, 90% of them you can get fairly cheap used off of Amazon or wherever you get used books online, but that's a hassle most parents don't want to have to deal with. So,
Well,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I got nothing else.
Right. Seeing that it's the end of the year coming up, and our next podcast will be in the new year.
Yay.
I decided we'll do our annual Everything Comes Back to 2008 podcast awards, right? Inspired. So today will be our first one, an inaugural podcast awards, and it's inspired by Comic Scene, and we're using the Comic Scene method as well, right?
Yes.
So you watch the Comic Scene, how they go on percentages instead of votes. So you can only have 10 people vote in a category, and because 8 people vote for one item, they can then say 80% of people vote for this. So they don't actually give you a number; they give you a percentage to make it play as if it's more people voted than they thought. Or you thought. So it's a way of fooling the audience. So we're going to use the same technique today. And also we're going to use the same technique that they use in all these awards, like the Eisner Awards and the Ringo Award, all these kind of awards where if your ideology suits the people that are on the panel, then you get picked. So we're going to go that as well. So the best podcast, we have the top 3, right? Guess who won with 90% of the vote?
Mega City Book Club.
No, ECBT2000AD.
What?
Yeah, and the second best podcast was Joe Rogan. It's not comic related, but it doesn't matter. He got 10% of the vote, and then the last is number 3 is anything but the 2000AD Book Club. That's what you wrote.
Oh, okay. So
yeah. He got 10%. Now you add up those percentages; they don't make sense, but it doesn't matter because it's our podcast, and that's the way we roll. We're doing a Comic Scene way.
All right. So runner-up would be Cliff High, who's like my conspiracy guy that you said is always wrong, and Professor Zhang, the Chinese guy,
propaganda guy. Yeah.
Right. Well, you know what? He was most of the time he was raised in Canada and he worked in the United States for a length of time. So it's not he
Where
owes
is he
no allegiance
broadcasting? Where is he broadcasting his YouTube videos from?
to China.
There you go. All right.
All
Enough
right.
said. Yeah. Hey, best podcast hosts. In at number 1, it's Flint, John, and Rossy. Wow, that's a shock.
Hey.
That's a shock.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Joe Rogan, and number 3 is Mulcher. Imagine that. Best podcast
Wow.
hosts, right?
You know what? I'd give it to Mulcher. I'd give something to Mulcher. He's
Right.
he's not doing bad. So.
Okay. And now we come to the last category for the ECBT award for best episode is number 1, ECBT2000AD for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And in its second place is Nobody. So these awards will be every year, and it's not rigged at all. Just to let people know.
Well, we'll probably end up getting our award before we get the Golden Squirrel Award.
I was going to say that, and in the tradition of the Golden Squirrel Award, we will not be receiving any recognition of these awards. Well done.
Well, wait a minute. I'm gonna dispute this one. I'm gonna dispute the best episode as being the one where we had an argument. That was the best episode.
Which is all of them.
Well, some of them are much more entertaining than others.
Oh my goodness! So we're not going to do that.
It'll be
John's
the Monday. It'll be the Monday episode. Any day but Monday episode.
Well, John's not here, so we're not going to do the deaths. We'll let John handle that. So,
sure.
Kickstarter corner. You got anything, Rossy?
Well, I mean, you did finish Black Creek. Do you want to put that in movies and TV, or?
Yeah, we'll move that to movies and TV.
Okay. God, do I have anything? Oh yes. God. Uncle Pat's Hellbreaker. I got the digital copy. So that's out there already.
Have you read it?
No, because I literally downloaded it just before we went live. So, which also goes back to we were talking about doing the Blazer Annual, and you didn't get a copy of it, and I had already burnt my digital copy onto a disc, and I didn't feel like going through the discs last night. So you'll get a copy, and we might as well just wait because John can talk about the form factor because he actually has a physical copy.
Right.
So we'll just wait for him for that one.
Yeah. Today we're going to review This Comic Is Haunted, just so people know, because there's no Prog this week.
Right.
We need to catch up on that, anyways.
But I will say this for Hellbreaker, I was kind of waffling about it, just because. It's I really need to cut back on the Kickstarters, but it's a lot of pages and the art looks really, really nice, and it looks like there's a lot going on. So I'm kind of glad that I convinced myself. And then what else? Amazon Woman is still out there. All the other movies are still out there. I think that's it. Again, I'm cutting way back on the Kickstarters, so it's just going to be digital copies for 90% of them. So there you go.
Well, I'm really glad that I put Uncle Pat in touch with the 77 guys, because Hellbreaker was done through the 77. Same with the Shaw book that Uncle Pat did as well. So, and they seem to be successful. So I'm really delighted that worked out, that Pat was able to come to an agreement with the 77, and I was part of that. So that was good. I initiated that. So that's good. For me, Kickstarter Corner, still waiting on the Eduardo Rizzo book, and I waited till after Christmas because I didn't want things to get lost in the mail. But I got the sketch cards to send out and the commission to send out today, which I'll get that done today. And that's the end of Thugs. Thugs is completely fulfilled.
Congratulations.
Also, Yeah, I'm finishing up in the Caretakers and Candy Nasty Tales book 2. That'll be finished by hopefully before January or the week of January 1st. And that'll be up in the Kickstarter probably late January. So that's a lot of fun to work on. I'll have to send the pages back to Rich so he can fiddle with the dialogue, because there's a lot of stuff in it where he probably has to change or cut out. He has a lot of characters going, well, okay, see, at the beginning of sentences, and they tend to repeat themselves a lot. So you'll have to go in and tidy that up a bit, and we'll add some more stuff to that too. Well, I'm going to put a 3-page strip that we did for a heavy metal magazine, and it got published, but it got published on their website. And this is way back in probably like 15 years ago. And heavy metal did actually put it on their website, the 3-page strip. They were delighted with it and thrilled with it. So okay, so I'll put that in there. That'll be a bonus in the Caretaker's Tales. That's it for Kickstarter Corner. Do you want to do movies and TV?
Yeah, I've seen a few movies. What have you seen?
Well, I finished watching Black Creek, and it's so unintentionally funny. It's really bad. I highly recommend it to people that want a good laugh, but also to see probably how not to make a movie. I had some. Oh my God, where to start? Like, Cynthia Rothrock, 68 years old, and she disguised herself as one of the local whores so she can infiltrate the gang. And by looking at her, it's just like, that's not going to fucking happen. Well, then again, everybody else is in their 50s or 60s in the movie. It's just terrible. Then she gets captured and she puts on this southern drawl. Oh my God, she sounds like Foghorn Leghorn when she's talking. It's pretty bad. All the fight scenes are sped up. The cavalry that arrived to see the dead bodies in the ground. Number one, the dead bodies have been out there for so long. Like, the gang killed these two cavalry guys, and they leave them out in the desert. And they try and make it look as if Native Americans did it, because they scalp them and put like feathers around so make it look like Native Americans scalped these two guys, killed them and scalped them. But if those bodies are out there for that long, for days, half the bodies would have been eaten by coyotes or other animals. So there was none of that. They look pristine, except for their little plastic skull caps that they put on to make them look as if they're scalped. But the cavalry, they're all overweight guys, again in their 50s. There's nobody under the age of 50, and it's just like, and their costumes are ill-fitting as well. It just so happens they all know martial arts too.
So this was my theory, was that there was a Kickstarter perk where you could go for, where you would get like a day's training to fight with Cynthia Rothrock in the movie. And going by the fact that like almost all of her fans are my age, I have a feeling those were those guys.
She should have put out a casting call to the locals, and I guarantee you she would have got a lot of people to show up just to be in the movie. Like, I mean, not even get paid, just to be in the movie for a day or half a day's work. But I wonder if that would have been too much trouble for the crew. The sequence where she gets caught by the gang, of course, they see through her story, and then the bad guy says, "Oh, take her away and do with her what you will." In other words, you can rape her or whatever. And then they dump her off in the desert, and then the whole raping thing is all just washed away. It's just like, oh, she was raped multiple times by soldiers. Let's move on, right? And the same with the person that plays her sister. They force her to become a whore, and it's the same thing. It's like, yeah, well, it's like it's no big deal. Move on.
Right.
That was kind of funny and strange. But then they do this montage scene with Don the Dragon Wilson, is that his name?
Yeah.
Where he plays a Native American, an Asian Native American, whatever. And he's nursing her back to health, and he did this whole montage of her training and stuff. They look like sex poses in the Kama Sutra. And it's like, oh, if you're watching, you're like, oh, she's 68 years old and she can bend her leg back like that. And so a lot of the poses were like Viz up the arse corner poses. I was in tears. I was in tears laughing at the montage part.
Oh my
It was like,
God.
oh, it was so fun. It's like I kept on hearing the South Park, the Team America music. Everything happens in a montage. You know that one?
Yeah.
It was so bad. And then the ending. There's a there's a after credit scene where there's another bad guy, but he's got a mask on, but he's holding a similar staff to the bad guy that Cynthia Rock kills. And he's like, "You need to take care of her. Or we're going to keep the business going." And that's it. They don't need to do a sequel.
I think he was the guy. I think he was like the guy who was like her friend. That he was.
Well, he was supposed to be her lover back in the day, and he ended up betraying them because he wanted some silver mine shares or something.
Right. But I think he was like the guy who was her friend.
He gets killed. She kills him.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think it was like finger quotes killed.
Oh, well, that's stupid. She shot him right. She shot him right in the chest. I mean, he was dead.
Nobody's really gone.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's pretty terrible. But I mean, the thing is, you know, if you like bad movies, it's good to watch.
right. Which again,
It can be a guilty pleasure.
yeah, I wish that my problem with it is very slow and boring, and it I was there's a part of my brain that was rooting for her, and it was just there was no self-awareness that this is going to be like the Over the Hill Gang rides again, and they didn't.
Yeah, and even the woman that's supposed to play the niece, and she plays it like she's a teenage girl, but she's in her 40s.
Yes, and
So
and
there's
looks
that.
it right. I mean, they could have played because they were their badge of honor was that they got all these like old they got all these like 90s martial arts guys who are now, I mean, if you're in your 30s and 40s when you're making martial arts movies in the 90s, you're pushing 70 now, like she is. But I thought like she does this, like you said during the montage scene, she still did some moves that like were pretty impressive at any age, you know. And so maybe instead of uh, they really need to work the story around what they had. That's the difference between the Roger Corman technique and what they did. Like the Roger Corman technique, like when he made a successful movie, it's kind of like, all right, what do we got? We got a lady pushing 70 who can still do some martial arts moves pretty well. We'll have her do those, but it doesn't have to be this long drawn out fight thing because it's a Western. She can shoot people too, you know, mix it up a little bit. And maybe we can show, you know, to build the suspense and the action scenes, we can show that doing that stuff has a cost on her body, like, you know, she pulls a muscle or something after doing one or two of them, and just kind of play up to the strengths, make it believable, but also kind of make it funny, deal with aging, but do it in an entertaining, funny way. So, but no, they just wanted you to believe that this is cool. Everybody's cool. This is cool. Everyone's cool. So it's like, okay.
Yeah,
But
it wasn't good.
no.
I did watch. Anyway, I did watch the last 3 episodes of Stranger Things,
Yes.
and that turned out to be, they should rename it Gayer Things.
Yeah, I've heard that. That's why I didn't come back. After that second season, I didn't come back because I was like, none of these series end well. Even Fallout, it's like I enjoyed the first episode, couple of episodes of the new season, but
Well, hold on. Yeah, so
that's all I'm going to
with
say about it. Yeah. So anyway,
yeah.
go ahead.
Well, with Stranger Things, you don't mind Will coming out of the closet because there's kind of hinted at all along in all the other series. But the way they did it was so cringe. And also it's set in the mid '80s, and it's like the filmmakers or the series makers decided to look at the '80s through the lens of today, because
Right.
I guarantee you on that group there would have been at least two or three of those people that would have been like, "What the fuck do you mean you're gay?" They would have been like, "What, you're gay? What the hell?
Mhm.
We can't have it." One of them would have been disgusted. One of them might have had nothing to do with him, and the other one just probably would have made fun of him. So it's this. The thing that I hate is they take modern day sensibilities of today and try and attach it to something in the '80s. Now, if you remember the mid '80s, you had the AIDS epidemic, right?
Mhm.
Which was seen mainly as a homosexual disease. You also had a movement, especially in the US, called Pray the Gay Away, where they
Mhm.
had these religious groups that set up these camps that you could send your kid to straighten them out. And those camps still existed up until, I still think there's some of them around, especially amongst the Mormons. I think there was a Mormon camp set up that does that, like to straighten out your kid, to stop your kid from being gay. And also in the '80s, being gay, you were kind of ostracized from society a bit if people found out you were gay,
Mhm.
and it was seen as a mental disease. I mean, you could, get put into a hospital to get cured. So it's the way it came out, and it's not just Will that's gay. There's also a female character that's lesbian, and she has a lesbian friend on the show too. So it's like,
Mhm.
what are the odds that a quarter of the group would be gay in the mid '80s? So it's it was so disappointing that
Well,
not
also
that.
it
Go
became
ahead.
like, so from what I understand, I haven't seen it and I'm just kind of like whatever, but um it sounds like it became like such a big part of the story. I mean, like they had seeded people who defend it were like, well, it was seeded throughout, blah 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 blah. But then it became like this is the thing that saves the day at the end, and it's like, oh,
Well, no, it doesn't save the day in the end. What happens is that Vecna, the bad guy, he's able to go into people's minds and find out where their weaknesses are. And Will's weaknesses was that he became out of the closet that his friends and families would hate him or shun him.
hmm
So he decided to come out and tell them. So just just so that he wouldn't have that, the bad guy wouldn't have that over him.
hmm
So that was a point of it. So you don't know how it's going to end, but if it does end with, the gay wizard conquering Vecna, it'd be like, oh, if they're smart, if the showrunners are smart, or the creators are smart, they won't have it end like that. But it was just a big cringe moment in the series. Like they're going through this end of the world apocalypse thing, and
hmm
then there's a big scene like that, and it's like, oh god. I mean, wait to they were comparing it to, the show The Last of Us,
yeah,
where the female character comes out and says, "I'm going to be a dad."
right. Oh
They're
yeah, I've
comparing
seen
it to
those
that.
memes.
Yeah,
hmm
that it's worse than that. It's like total cringe. Um, and it's just typical Hollywood that they can't help themselves. They'll have a really good hit in their hands, and they'll put something in there where people just throw up their hands and roll their eyes. Fuck this, I'm out.
right.
They
The
just
other
can't help
problem,
themselves.
well, the other problem too, like you're saying about the '80s, it, by whitewashing, it's this and all the other political correct stuff that they try to put into things from the past. It takes away the achievements that they've made since then. Does that make any sense? It's kind of like,
Yeah, it lessens the impact of what they went through to achieve equality.
right. So if you keep showing all these, making all these shows and everything, and like, oh, in the 1920s, everybody loved gay people. It's kind of like, well, now why are they so oppressed now? And it's kind of like, well, compared to the way it really was back then, they kind of aren't. I guess that's what they're trying to do, like an inversion of,
Yeah,
it's like so instead of like
I
everybody
grew up in the
stacked
'80s.
against.
Yeah, I grew up in the mid '80s, like in Ireland, right? The mid '80s
Mhm.
in Ireland, and there were a couple of gay kids, but they hung around with the
Right.
girls. They hung around with the girls, right? Because
Right.
none of the guys wanted them to hang around with them,
Right.
right? And they were constantly berated and slagged. They're called names the whole time, like "Hey, you fag, faggot," the whole thing.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, it just the way they presented it in Stranger Things is like, what the hell are you guys doing?
Well, but also what I'm saying is like back in the 80s, like let's keep the numbers intact. Like 80% of the people would have been like turned against him, and
Yeah,
probably in some of them in an aggressively bad way. Not even like, oh, I'm not going to have lunch with you anymore. It's like punch him out or something like that. It was bad. It was
yeah, it was
rough
pretty
and
bad.
it was rough and it was pretty bad. Um, and so, but now it's like now in the real, so in the real world in the 80s, 80% against. Now in the real world, it'd be like 80% for, and a pretty small portion of people would just be kind of like either quietly, we don't invite them over for dinner anymore, or maybe, and of that, like maybe 1% would be like, physically harm him or verbally abusive or whatever. It's the complete opposite now. But now they want to
See,
take that.
how they could have got around it was that he could have confessed or came out of the closet to the lesbian girl in the
Right.
show, Maya Hawke's character, because they all knew that she was kind of like he knew that she was gay. So if he had
Hmm.
came out and said, "Well, I'm that way too," that would have been fine. That would have been a good way of handling it. But to make this like big, you know, pivotal moment to focus in on that, to have that as being the focus, it was like, oh my god, what are you guys doing?
Yeah. Yeah. And it diminishes it. They're trying to make the 20% that would act negatively sound like 100%, and it also takes away from all the accomplishments that were made, or all the progressiveness that's happened since then. Because and that's like in all the historical stuff, like, oh, the Roman legions were filled with black people and Asians and guys in wheelchairs and everything. It's like, no. There might have been a few, or one or two, a couple of prisoners that worked their way up, or people running away for something that joined the legionnaires or whatever. I don't know, but I don't think it was quite the. I don't think there were quite as many of them as Netflix would have you believe.
Yeah.
So, but hey, that's streaming for you now. Everything's a psyop or a lesson, and we've got a bunch of young people who know nothing about history and care even less. So they're probably prone to believe it, and that wondering why we're worse off now than we were, you know, 50 years ago or 100 years ago or however many. So there you go.
Well, what did you watch, Rossy?
Well, speaking of how far we've come, these movies had, wow. You can file this under wow. They don't make them like that anymore. Um, and one of them was, what was the first one? Oh, one of them came up like on my. I have two feeds. One that I watch on the big TV in the living room, and one that I listen to on my phone when I'm doing stuff. And so I'm not exactly sure why, but Warlords of Atlantis came up, and I was like, man, I saw that when I was a kid, and I remember liking it. And then somebody it was one of those movies you couldn't get anywhere. Like to this day, I don't think you can get it in
That the one with
America.
Doug McClure.
It sure is. Who you might remember from such movies as The People That Time Forgot and At the Earth's Core. Um, so the deal is, for those of you who don't know, Troy McClure from The Simpsons was based on Doug McClure. Um, so, and it was one of those movies that to this day you can't get it on DVD in the States, DVD or Blu-ray. But I believe it's in a box set that plays on any kind of machine. The discs will play on
Region
British, or
free.
it's region free, I think. But I already have like the other movies. It's part of the adventure series that this one British publisher outfit puts out, and I already have At the Earth's Core, and I already have People in Land That Time Forgot. So I was going to pay just to get Warlords of Atlantis. And anyway, so that came up on YouTube as free with commercials, and I was like, "Oh, cool! It'd be nice to see a." I do have. Oh, anyway, so a friend of mine gave it to me on VHS, and I remember thinking, not as good as I remember it, but the picture and sound quality were kind of shit because it was a copy of a copy. So anyway, this was on YouTube. It was free with commercials. It was as acceptable a copy as you're going to get, but my TV is kind of crap when it comes to streaming, especially high resolution streaming. So it kind of like stuck several times throughout the thing. I did enjoy it a lot more this time, with some asterisks to it.
Well, the movie posters are great.
Man, you want to talk about a movie? Well, part of the reason I wanted to see it when I was a kid was, as I've said here before, the way television programming worked. There's like the three networks: ABC, CBS, and NBC, and then there's like a lot of local stations. And the local stations would show a block of after school programming that was kind of aimed at kids. There was from about 3 o'clock till 5 o'clock. And then there was this, well, from three, yes. And then around 5 o'clock, there was kind of like this moosh period where it wasn't cartoons or things exactly aimed at kids. It was sort of like Brady Bunch reruns and old sitcom reruns, or things that were kind of like family programming, like if mom and dad came in the room ready to watch the news or whatever, they would be like okay with seeing that. And during that time, they would show trailers for any movie that had kung fu, car crashes, space, fantasy. They would run trailers for that, knowing that the kids would be like, Mom, Dad, I got to go see Warlords of Atlantis. So, and sometimes they were like R-rated movies like Death Sport too. You know, Roger Corman movies were all over that hour of programming. So anyway, yeah, I begged my dad to take me to see it, so he did, and I remember liking it a lot.
It's free on Tubi.
Yeah, I think a lot of the free on YouTubes are also free on Tubi's. Does Tubi have commercials though?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Well, if you like this kind of movie, I would definitely recommend seeing it free on Tubi, because it's worth every penny. After about 10-15 minutes of this really awkward expository dialogue, Doug McClure has built this diving bell that this genius English guy goes in with him, and then they get attacked by an undersea dinosaur. And the genius English guy's dad, I think he was another professor and I think he financed this boat expedition. And then the guys on board the ship, the crew, once they get wind that there was gold treasure involved, they kind of mutiny against everybody. And anyway, the important thing is that there's a giant rubber octopus attacks the ship and drags the crew guys into a cave underwater, and the diving bell follows them, and everybody on board the ship except for the dad, the old man, and the cabin boy, everybody else ends up in Atlantis. And the Atlantean soldier costumes are cool. And then there's a lot of walking around through the cities of Atlantis. And the plot is that they want the English guy, the smart English guy's brain, to help them get into the get to a certain level of technology when they can return to space, which is where they came from initially. And they've been waiting in this like underwater cavern for thousands of years for Earth technology to get to the point where they can go into space and leave this godforsaken planet. And the scenes of Atlantis are really cool, and there's like 2 or 3 different river monsters, which they're pretty cool. What else? But the thing is, okay, so there's a couple of things that go nowhere with the plot. One of them is the crew of the ship meet other humans there that were people who from other ships that were kind of cast away and drugged down into this underwater kingdom. And I don't want to give away the spoiler, but one of them is a very attractive young lady who Doug McClure's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And this finger quotes romance really goes nowhere. And then there's a lot of walking through the city. Once the smart English guy and the Atlanteans, they take him on a walking tour of Atlantis, and they're just explaining a lot of shit to him. And then there's a lot more expository stuff with him. And then, spoiler, this Atlantis gets attacked by these ankylosaurus type dinosaurs. And during that attack, Doug McClure and what's left of his crew manage an escape. And then once they escape from Atlantis, the survivors, I don't want to give away who manages to escape. The survivors
you might as well. The movie's from the 70s.
Well, I mean,
Cliff from Cheers survives, didn't he?
Well, he gets back to the ship, yeah. But he does play. It's weird to hear him without that voice, and he's kind of a badass in this movie. But anyway, the octopus attacks the ship again, even more violently than the first time, and then there's like that's where all the resolution and stuff happens in the movie.
Is the scene like the scene in Ed Wood where Lugosi gets into the swamp and starts grabbing the rubber tentacles?
You can on all of the model work in this movie, you can tell that they spent a lot. I mean, this is the sad thing about this movie, At the Earth's Core, all those Doug McClure movies. The people who did the model work did a fantastic job, but it's just, that they're models, even though they're very, very detailed and a lot of imagination went into them, you can still tell that they're models. There's no getting around that. And the tentacles don't always work the way that I think the people who made them hoped that they would. So, but in some cases, the way they edited the stuff in with the human actors and all that, some of the shots look pretty good. Some of it did look okay. But the main problem, again, the point is that there's this romance where Doug McClure sees the woman in the marketplace and goes like, "Hey," and then there's a fight, and he and his crew get sent to Atlantean jail, and she brings the food, and he's again like, "Hey," and then I think he sees her like a third time, and she helps him escape from the city. But again, the romance is kind of tragic and doomed, and it goes nowhere. And then so that just fills screen time. And then the whole plot is, once they get into Atlantis, there's this walking tour and history of the city that's given to the smart English guy. And then the dinosaurs attack, and then this gives the crew a chance to escape, and then they escape. So it's just it's basically like, here's Atlantis and here's what we're all about, and then explosions and dinosaurs and monsters and everything else. So as far as like a fun movie to watch, and especially like the sets and everything, the costumes for Atlantis, it was fun eye candy. I thought it was imaginative. It's, you know, very much a Lost City movie of its time. It's all white people. All the Atlanteans look like they're white people. Sid Charisse, who was like a famous dancer at the time, plays one of the Atlantean women. So they give her this robe so you see her legs, you know, dancer's legs, every shot she's in. And she's got this ridiculous looking wig, future wig. And so there's a YouTuber named Brandon Tenold who does bad movie reviews. And when the movie was over, YouTube suggested his review of this movie, which takes it's like 20 minutes long. And he points out that there's this one scene with one of the monsters where they're walking across this bridge, and then the monster pops out of the oil or lava or whatever the water liquid is supposed to be, and they just kind of like stand still. The monster just looks at them, and then they just kind of creep along and avoid. And he goes like, you know, it wasn't exactly a monster attack. It's just telling you that there's a monster in this, and sets up that there's going to be something that happens as they're trying to escape with this monster. So anyway, this is getting to be much longer. You might as well watch the Brandon Tenold version because it's much funnier. But it's what, you know, I like Lost City movies. This was one of them. Doug McClure is neither great nor terrible as the two-fisted hero of the story. And it was fun to watch. It had a good score. I like the costumes, and I would definitely recommend it as a watch for Tubi, or if you don't have the full hour and a half, watch the Brandon Tenold version because he's got a lot of clips from the movie in there too. But he even says at the beginning that it's not available. I guess it's not available in Canada either at the time that he made the video. So he uses a TV rip, and it's got like poor quality, and there's some shots where it looks like they put a filter on the exteriors to make it look weird and exotic, and, you know, not natural sunlight. But on the version you would see on Tubi or on YouTube, it just looks like they're outside, you know. And then so because you like Lost City movies, they recommended the
Ursula Andress.
No, the one before that, the
1930s one.
Yeah, and this was a colorized version of it too. And that was another one where the hero's not exactly like the most active two-fisted guy. It starts off like, oh, you've got to go on this expedition because your ancestor went here and was lost. But we found this little gold statue that you can keep in your pocket. And we want to find out what that means. And apparently there's this oddly worded letter that implies that there's this flame that has some kind of magical ability. So you got to find out what that is. So he goes up north, and there's a grumpy old man who in the Arctic areas knows the natives and treats everybody badly, including his
Did you watch that one as well?
Yes, I watched that.
Oh, God.
Not on the same day.
All right.
So anyway, so they go up north to they go up north to, I think it was in Russia. They changed the location because in the novel all this takes place in Africa. And they made some changes. So there's this white woman who lives with this white man, and the white man's like this old grump who treats her badly and treats the natives badly, but he knows how to get where they want to go. So there's this really impressive matte shot of these snow cliffs, and they're afraid of an avalanche, but the
Isn't
old
she
man's
an
like,
Alan Quatermain movie or book?
same writer.
Oh, okay,
And
different character though.
yeah, and I think somewhere along the line they did tie him into this
Right.
in the books.
Yeah,
And
I
I
think they
think,
did as well.
yeah, and I think the whatchamacallit one of the Richard Chamberlain Quatermain movies, or
They were
yeah,
gonna. Yeah, you see she and she's frozen.
yeah. So anyway, but the thing is with this movie, like some of the special effects, I mean, you know that they're fake, but they're beautiful. Like the matte, there's two matte paintings for the cliffs, the mountain cliffs or the avalanche where the avalanche happens, that are really spectacular. And then they go up to this peak, or they go up to this one area where they say, oh, there's a frozen white man in there, and they see like the frozen remains of the guy who was on the expedition like 500 years ago, and a saber-toothed tiger attacking him, and they're like frozen into the cliffside. That special effect looked pretty good too. So anyway, there's an avalanche which opens a passageway into the underground city. There's natives that there's three main white characters. There's the hero, there's the girl that they pick up along the way who's like the daughter of the salty old guy, and then there's an English guy who was sent along to lead the way. I think he was the linguist. So they
Was he a cunning linguist?
no, he was a pretty nice guy. He was a kind guy. So anyway, they get captured by these natives, and of course it's like the 30s, so it's like 1930s Hollywood natives with everything that implies. Um,
With
and
Joey Two Fingers from the Bronx. Hey, I'm a native now. Hey.
Well, it's weird because like the dudes wear like these loincloths, and so they've got these exposed torsos. One guy looks like he literally looks like Ali Oop. He's got this huge torso. And he's just like oddly shaped, and I'm sure he was hired because of that. But then the makeup on their faces is like 3 shades darker than the rest of their bodies for some reason. It's like just to make them look more menacing and make their eyes look more sinister. And because all of the lighting, the lighting switches when they show just their faces, the lighting like comes up from the bottom to make them look more sinister.
Oh, sinister, yeah.
Right. So they have this ceremonial dance routine, savage ceremonial dance routine around a fire, and they've got this, it looks like a upside down cauldron, but the English guy's like, I don't like this, I do not like this doesn't look right. So they take him, bring him up to the edge of the fire, and they pull the cauldron out and try to put it over his head, and that's when they realize, oh shit. the English guy was right, as John would say, well, of course. So they escape, but they're rescued. They try to escape, but they are about to be overwhelmed by the natives when they're stopped by these people who look like they're dressed a cross between Greek, Roman, Mayan, all the Egyptian, all the ancient civilizations. Their costume and culture is like a mishmash of that. So the more advanced people take him back to the city, and they meet She Who Must Be Obeyed.
That's my wife.
Yeah, it's everybody's wife. And she recognizes the hero as the reincarnation of the guy who of his ancestor from 500 years ago, who had come to the city and been lost. and she even keeps his body on a stone slab,
As you do.
and as you do, but he's perfectly preserved. So anyway, there's this, that, and the other thing. She didn't want to let him go, and she's kind of evil because she's been alive for so many years. It's kind of like her heart's frozen over a bit, and there's a lot of stuff about age, and then this young woman who the hero just met. he just met and was on the expedition with him, but she's pretty and she loves him and he loves her, and so even though the queen can't let him go, blah dee blah blah blah. So there's this big ceremony at the end, and in the Atlantean palace, or whatever the city's called Core,
Right.
even though it's implied that it's one of those, Atlantis or whatever. So anyway, they have this big ceremony, big dance, 1930s savage dance routine. And they switch out what was going to be their human sacrifice with the young girl who's the hero's in love with, and he's sitting there, sitting at the base of the throne, watching all of this, and then he realizes, oh shit, I'll bet that's her, and so there's a big escape, and they eventually, I don't want to give spoilers, but there's a big escape
The
scene.
movies from the 1930s, I'm sure you can give spoilers.
Yeah. Well, they escape, and then they end up in the, there's a sort of, it's not really an epilogue, but they end up in the temple of, she's temple, where this magic flame is. And I want to give it away, but the special effects, it's it's a little slow because it's a 1930s movie, and they really want you to see these special effects that they spent a lot of time and effort animating and bringing to life, and it's impressive. It's even now, it doesn't look real, but it's nice to look at. It's like between that and the set and the costumes and everything else. So the problem with the movie is that there's a lot of exposition, and the hero's not like, the reasons why people are doing things are kind of weak. It's not particularly interesting or exciting why they're doing what they're doing. But the costumes and the sets and even the special effects are pretty darn amazing. And that's another one I would recommend. The colorization doesn't always work. It's like early colorized movies. I'm sure with AI now you could probably get it exactly right. But apparently Ray Harryhausen had a hand in the colorization. Like he had access to the photos and the books and the records from the time that they were making it, because his mentor worked on King Kong, and it's kind of like a lot of the same people behind the scenes who made King Kong. In fact, the cut costs, the doors, the giant doorway from King Kong that leads out to the jungle, they reused that in this movie. So, is that your dog?
That's the dog.
Do you need to do something?
No, you're fine.
Okay. So anyway, that was, I would recommend it for if you fancy yourself a film historian, or if you like lost movies, or if you like lost city movies, or for the two dance numbers, those are pretty amazing and pretty cool. So I enjoyed it. And if you're too lazy to read the book like I am, then I would recommend it for that. But and especially since I'm kind of working on a lost civilization project, I considered it, finger quotes, research. And then the last movie I saw was the original Mothra, which I could have, I saw when I was a kid on TV, when it was on TV. And I think I saw it, I think I owned the DVD for a while, and I don't know why I never finished watching it. And I had remembered absolutely nothing about it other than Mothra was in it. and there were little doll-sized Japanese women who sang the
Yeah, that's
Mothra
right.
song,
Yep.
and there were some natives involved, and Mothra goes from hatching out of the egg to the larva to the moth that we all know and love. That's all I remembered about it, and it was pretty good. It was good. It was kind of a kids movie. There was stuff with like a kid that was kind of goofy humor to it. There was a comedy relief reporter who's also one of the heroes of the story, and of course you got all the giant monster stuff, which for the time was great and fun to watch now. Um, how they did the Mothra, like even though it's kind of like a model with because with the flapping wings on,
Hmm.
they really put everything they had into those special effects, and they're fun as hell to watch. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of monster stuff in it. It doesn't happen until halfway through the movie, but once it happens, it's like there's a lot. And much like these previous two movies, there's a native dancing scene, but it happens on this island um, where they worship Mothra, or they worship the egg that Mothra eventually comes out of. So there's this native dancing scene, and boy, oh boy, it's Japanese people literally in blackface.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, it's like every culture, but see this is why I think the blackface thing is more complicated than people make out, because it's not really blackface. To me, blackface was a what was it early late 19th early 20th century thing where white people were mocking black people, right? The minstrel shows, the jazz singer, all that stuff. um this one, it's Japanese people with dark body paint, and they aren't supposed to be African Americans, and they aren't supposed to be African at all. They're supposed to be like dark-skinned people on this dark-skinned natives on this island somewhere in the Pacific. So I don't know how that qualifies as blackface. So, and they dress Polynesian or Hawaiian or some kind of Samoan, South Seas,
Islander stuff.
Pacific Island, yeah, some kind of South Seas Pacific Islanders. That's their fashion, and their culture is based on that. So the women wear sarongs and that. So I don't know if I would qualify that as blackface. It's and plus, from what I understand, I'm probably totally wrong about this, but like there's the island of I'm not sure if Okinawa is like a separate island or if it's a separate landmass, but there's something about Okinawa that the rest of Japan kind of sort of makes fun of, the way we make fun of Southerners in America, or the way Englanders make fun of Scottish people and Welsh people and Irish people. It's like, well, you're all part of the same group, but there's something other about these people. So that's kind of what the vibe I got from this movie. And you know immature people without nuance would watch it now and go like, oh my god, they're wearing body paint, it's black people. And it's like, it's not. So
Right.
I give them a pass. But the production number is pretty, when they were summoning Mothra, it's pretty spectacular. I was entertained by it. Some people find these like old-timey musical numbers boring
Monotonous.
and monotonous. I enjoy them. So again, I enjoyed the Mothra movie. Would I watch it again anytime soon? Probably not. There's too many long stretches in between where the other funny thing about it, and part of the reason why I watched it, was they recently released a book that is the shorts. It's the novella that was the basis for the movie. It was called like the Mothra and the something fairies of Infant Island. I forgot. Anyway, this is the first English translation of the novella that was the basis for the movie, and there was like a lot more Mothra lore and where Mothra came from and where this culture came from on the island and blah 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 blah. And the review I read of the novella said that there's not as much giant monster destruction. It's mostly the story and then the backstory. So I was like, oh, I want to see how that played out in the movie, at least, because I know I'm not going to have time to read the novel, and I remembered nothing about the movie, and it was like recommended to me. It's like, oh, you like movies with natives and doing long monotonous dance numbers? Here you go. So anyway, yeah. So I don't know. Again, I don't know how it plays out and the details of how it played out in the novel, but there are, even in the movie itself, long stretches where they're like explaining stuff. And oh, so the other thing was there's this fake country that they came up with called Rosilica or I can't pronounce it, but it's supposed to be a cross between Russia and the United States. So it's like the two superpowers that aren't Japan mushed together in this fake country. And that's where the climax and a lot of the destruction Mothra brings onto the modern world. It takes place in this city called King Square, or anyway, it's not even, Mothra does attack Japan, but like the big climax takes place in this other city that's supposed to be Russia mashed up with the United States. So and the main villain is like a white guy called I forgot his name, was like Carter or some
Bob
Nelson. It's like Nelson or Carter or some name like that. So anyway, I would, if you like giant monster movies, and it's been a while since you've seen Mothra, it's pretty good. I did like that too. But these are all movies that I don't know if they would hold up now. Like you couldn't, I don't know if I saw all of them when I was a kid. Well, I didn't see but like I saw 2 of the 3 when I was a kid and really, really liked them when I was a kid. So I don't know if you could do the same with today's kids because of all the talky parts.
Yeah. So is that it? That all you watched?
Well, I did see Fallout, and it seems fine, but it's a streaming show, so I'm waiting for it to go to shit at the end. And Landman, I saw Landman. It is what it is. It's just every time the daughter and his wife show up, it just becomes like a farce, which is it's entertaining. So I think Ali Larter's hotter now than she was in Heroes.
That wouldn't be hard.
Yeah.
All right, so you want to today? We're not doing a Prog, of course, but we're doing This Comic is Haunted. So you want to do issue 5 today?
Sure.
Pew, pew, Barney McGrew, Cuthbert, Dibble, Grub.
All right, what we'll do is we won't give a big description of the stories because we don't want to spoil it, because all of them have like twist endings.
Right.
So we'll talk about the artwork and the story, the story itself, I suppose, and then we'll talk about overall what we thought of the strip. So the cover, does it give credit for who did the cover?
Let's see if it's in the. I'm opening.
I didn't see it.
I'm looking on the second page.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see any credit for that cover.
I think this digital file I'm looking at has higher resolution covers by Simon Hall and Andrew Richmond.
Oh,
so who does this? So it must be Simon. That signature looks like Simon Hall.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good. So we have The Exorcist poster with a skeleton pointing out at the reader. which took me a while to figure out that I was actually pointing out, because when I first looked at it, I had to do a double take. And this, you know what the skeleton reminds me of? You ever see the Late Show with Craig Ferguson?
Yeah.
They had the robot on the skeleton. What was his name? Jeff. And he always
Oh.
used to point his skeleton hand out and go, "Here come the players," and he move his hand up and down. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
And it looks as if the skeleton's wearing sunglasses with a bright glare in them. It's a
Wearing
good
like
cover,
his-
but that's what it reminded. That's what it came to my head when I saw it, and I couldn't help but laugh. But it is a good cover.
Yeah, it's
What do
cool.
you think?
I like it. I mean, if you like horror comics, it's going to make you want to pick it up. So that's what's important. Although, isn't it called This Comic Is ... Haunted, or did they rebrand?
I don't know. I'll have to check that to see if they did that before.
Probably better that they don't.
You think they did do that?
Well, it's not on that second page with all the publishing information. I think, I don't know. I distinctly remember them
No, they
putting
didn't put dot
the
dot dot on it.
dot.
No,
Yeah, but I don't know if they rebranded it by taking that
no.
out.
The first issue doesn't have dot 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 on it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's just This Comic Is
Oh.
Haunted. That's it.
So either way, it's
Yeah.
cool. The logo's cool. It's positioned in such a way that it would stand out on the rack. So very
Yeah,
nice.
pretty good. Okay, the first story is Hot Day, Not Hate by Paul Healy and Paul McCaffrey. Your usual supernatural detective story.
Mhm.
The artwork is beautiful. I think he
Mhm.
uses. I think he might use 3D models, but it
Mm.
looks really good. The only thing I like the lettering and everything else. The only thing I didn't like is it didn't say to be continued. Right, that
Yeah,
it was an
just
ongoing story.
ends.
Yeah, it just
Mhm.
ends. It wasn't part one or anything. Just but it's going to be continued.
Mhm.
And the secretary that shows up, that's in his office. Hot Day goes, "It's 7 a.m. What kind of idiot wants to see me this time in the morning?" There's no way she would be there at 7 a.m. in the morning and she's not getting paid.
Mm.
There's no
Unless
way.
she worked at Antarctic Press.
So that was a bit of a thing. And then she said, "Excuse me, some of us have work to do." I'm like, what are you complaining for?
Right.
It's
There,
like,
there are a couple of glitches in the lettering, but if that's my biggest complaint. Like there's no period after misses, but you can almost get away. Like it's a comic, so some of the rules of lettering are sort of fluid. There was a capital I like in the middle of one of the sentences too, and I was like, but only because I've lettered hundreds of pages of Yore and all the other stuff that I've done do I kind of notice that stuff now. But I wouldn't have noticed if I was just not doing that, if I was just reading it.
do you like that the guy from Skullduggery Pleasant shows up at the end?
I was going to say that. I honestly I wasn't setting up. By mentioning it earlier, I was not setting up for now, but yes. And also, I don't know if you've ever seen, like, do you follow like Ron Fortier's pulp stuff?
I don't think
'Cause
so.
he's got a character called Brother Bones that also looks like that.
No.
Probably even more so because Brother Bones actually has the trench coat.
Well, this looks like a ghost wearing a mask anyways, because in that last panel, his skin is see-through.
Yes. So
or he's not wearing a mask at all. It's just that's the see-through face.
Yeah, I will give Dave more. I will always give Dave the benefit of the doubt that he probably didn't know about the other two. So,
but beautiful artwork, nice little intro story. The splash page and the second page is excellent.
yeah,
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
Cubs.
I want to know what happens next, and it's probably going to be
a year.
Yeah, well, there's that. So I hope that they eventually get around to doing their collected edition of this one too.
Yeah. I think overall with the tone and everything in this comic, I think he should have changed the name of it to "This fucking comic is fucking haunted." Fuck.
There's a lot of
Because
fucking fucks in
there's
this.
lots of, yeah. That's what was really annoying about the next story, Cub
Mm,
Scouts. The writer is
mm-hmm,
Elliot Moody and the artist is Daniel Stawell. The
mm-hmm.
artwork is fantastic. I love the artwork. Some of the storytelling's a bit dodgy.
Yeah.
And why would big bulky security guys hide in trash cans, trash bags?
Oh, yeah, you're already getting to that.
Yes,
So, I do have some questions about it, and I don't want
right.
to. I'm torn. Like, I don't want to give too many spoilers, so maybe I'll go like halfway through it and just sort of stop. So, for example, on this first page, we've got these like ICE agents type characters who are abducting one of these wolf kids with pointy ears, and it's implied that they're sort of wolfish. And one of them has one of the kids on the ground and his boot on his back, rifle pointed at him. And then they go looking for the other kids, and there's three of them hiding in the barn: boy, girl, and young little kid. So the van drives away, and they just like leave the other kid who was like face down in the grass. They just leave him behind for some reason. But they promise that they're going to come back the next day or the next morning, which gives all four of these kids time to go like, okay, well, let's just get out of here. So they run away. And then they show them uh, hiding in various places. And then I, I don't
See, I
understand.
couldn't believe that the ICE officers were that fucking stupid to leave the kid on the ground when he already had him.
I know. I didn't understand why they did that to give him like him. And they knew that the other kids were in the barn. They're just like, oh, well, we'll just let him go. And then it wasn't until right now that I realized so they show the kids hiding under the roots of a tree while these dudes on motorcycles drag some prisoners, slaves, perhaps. But these guys are different from the guys who are in the truck. I didn't even realize, because the guys in the trucks, they look like they're, some kind of actual military
Military, yeah.
ICE agent types. And then these guys look like they're road warrior biker gang types.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense.
Right. So the part of the thing is that there's no context for this. And I guess that's part of the point, but there's no context for this future. So we don't know why there's wolf kids. We don't know why there's what kind of government is running this. I mean, we don't know about.
Also, if the camps aren't really camps, that they're there to protect the wolf children, whatever, why are you beating the shit out of them with sticks, with the nightclubs?
Yeah, there's this right. So I don't know if they're going to expand on all of this. There's a
No, it's
lot
a
of
one and done.
yeah, there's a lot of surprises in it, but again, they don't explain anything, and it feels wide open enough that they could do more with it. It's not like overtly a series, like it could be a one and done. They could just walk away with it from it the way it was, but um by the same token, it just kind of like it leaves a lot of questions. And I had at some points I had a hard time telling the kids apart. It's like, okay, there's a little one and there's a girl, but you could I could only tell them apart by their hairstyles and
Yeah,
sometimes. Um, and then
I
I
did it. I
really
did
had
it. I did enjoy the twist, but go ahead.
yeah, it wasn't until I reread it that I realized, oh yeah, there's this one kid that they did abduct, and
Yeah.
you forget about because he's not even mentioned for a bunch of pages. And so
Yeah, I
so
did. I
my
did find that. I did find the storytelling confusing. I found the lettering to be abysmal. The lettering
yeah,
is all
the
over the
lettering's
place.
the other lettering, it was like I would let almost all the stuff that I noticed, I just noticed because I've been doing a lot of lettering lately. But this one, was very amateur hour kind of indie comic lettering. But having said all of those things, I did enjoy the story. I thought the artwork was pretty good. It had a lot of interesting things in it, some surprising twists, even if they were a little silly, like you said, where the, whatever this well-funded paramilitary outfit is hiding in trash bags. It's like if you have a bunch of dudes in padded military gear with billy clubs, you don't need to hide in trash bags. You know what I'm saying?
I thought that was really silly. And also to the writer, having the F-bomb nearly every second or third word doesn't make your story edgy. It just makes it ridiculous. And it made I when I was reading it, I was getting annoyed at it actually. It was putting me completely off the strip.
And it's not just the lettering. There's some punctuation and some of the grammar I think didn't help either. So, yeah. So, I mean, a lot of my complaints with it are probably like the technical side of it's more the lettering, and then the story was confusing. Maybe because there was like too much. Maybe I'm always complaining like, oh, slow burn and all this. This was like really dense. There was like almost too much. Like it should have been like.
Well, the stuff that wasn't necessary, like the Mad Max Road Gang, that wasn't necessary for the story.
Yeah, I mean, but it might have been for the world building, and it might be something that was planted in there if they do part 2 or continue on with it. But anyway, if they did a sequel to it, I'd be there for it. It's interesting, but they do kind of need to clean up their act as far as the lettering, and maybe get more into the weeds as far as making sure the punctuation's on point and stuff like that. But
okay, what do you think of Red Snow Waiting by Joe Healy and Andrew Richmond?
I liked it, but I don't know if I completely understood it.
Well, it's just that humans are serial killers or worse monsters. That was the whole
right
point.
That is what I got out of it. I don't know if there was more to it than that, but this is the serious strip in the issue. It wasn't scary, but it was kind of creepy, and the artwork was kind of neat, so I liked it. But I also wouldn't call it my favorite. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's very compact, 3 pages. It gets across the point that the real monsters are humans, or just human beings.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we've seen all that kind of stuff before, but it's done really well here. I think Joe does a great job.
Yeah, the writing's good. Yeah, so and I say that like so off the cuff. The writing is good. Period. Solid. So
right.
And I think the artwork definitely suits the tone and the story. So yeah, it's good.
Okay. Let me see. Next one. Shit, I just closed the file. All right, let's scroll down to it. This is one of my favorites in the whole comic, and it's the Dr. Van Helsing mystery, written by John H. Short, illustrated by Adam Jakes, and lettered by Andrew Richmond. I think the credits are 2 on top of each other. It kind of looks like a bit of a mess, but this is a great twist, I think, where Van Helsing goes to visit this one guy he suspects of being a vampire, but then there's a big twist at the end. But I thought it was pretty clever. What do you think of that one? I love the artwork too and photo reference.
Yeah, this one was like the whole thing was the dreaded characters standing around talking, but the way the artist did the way the characters did, finger quotes, acting, and the way that it was set up, and the way the story was told, and all the little surprises that came out throughout it. I thought it was really well done. And this is one of the strips that I thought, and I mean this as a compliment, could 100% have been in House of Hammer back in the day.
Right.
So this definitely had that look and feel and tone, and so I mean I do like that old timey kind of stuff. So for me, very high marks on that one.
Yeah, I got a sense that I read this before.
Oh
So
yeah, you're right.
I think I read this somewhere else before, this kind of story before. So I was trying to figure out where would I have seen this before, because it did strike me. I don't know where I've seen something similar to it.
The
It might have
previous
been
issue.
from an old. It might have been from an old horror comic book, but I think I remember seeing something before with the bait and switch idea.
Oh, you know what? I think there was another story with this character. I think there was another story with this character in a previous Haunted.
Do you like that you based the suspect on the Nazi from Indiana Jones?
Oh, is that who that is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
knows from the screaming face on page 2 or 3.
Oh yeah, okay. There
Like
it
when
is.
he put his hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The photo reference is pretty good. Good artwork and a nice little twist. All right. Next one. I can't get the title of this. Where is it at? Is there a title page? Oh, it's at the end. Wrapped Around the Deadly Finger, story by Christoph RDGZ, and art by lettering by Giuseppe Delia. The lettering is actually really good, but I think the title lettering, Wrapped Around the Deadly Finger, should have been a different font or something completely different.
Yeah, there was a few glitches in some of the lettering in this one too, but it's readable. It's Christoph Rodriguez. He just cut out all the vowels.
What did you think of it?
This one I kind of.
It's another confusing one, isn't it?
Yeah, I had to read it twice to see like what the deal was, or if there was something I was missing. And I don't think I was missing anything. It was just sort of like, it tried to go for that shock twist ending, and there was not enough things set up. It just sort of was like, oh, that's a surprise because it wasn't set up. so, but I do like this guy's artwork. I do like this guy's storytelling. I've seen him in other things for the 77. I do like. I also follow him on Instagram. I do like him a lot. So I'm going to say I liked it, but
yeah, the artwork is really good.
It did have some. It does have a few things that would probably need to be ironed out a little better.
All right, Crowbars and Crustaceans, written by Sue Hadwell, art by Steve Austin, and letters and colors by Andrew Richmond. Yeah,
what do you think?
Yeah, Steve Austin's artwork always completely suits the 77 more than it suits the 2000 AD.
This takes place in Ireland or something, or
but because it's green.
Well, also the arcade's called O'Grady's, and
no, it looks like it takes place in the UK. That looks like Brighton Pier or something like that.
Okay. So I thought this was another one where and so did you ever read like Books of Blood, the Clive Barker stuff?
No.
Either the comic or the actual books?
Nope.
So Clive Barker, I'm an old EC Comics guy. I like the O. Henry style you set everything up, and then there's like this shock twist ending. I'm old fashioned that way. Clive Barker, it was just kind of like someone's driving around the countryside, and oh my God, the most horrific, horrible thing you can imagine happened, and somebody goes and saying the end. And his stories were just kind of like, they'd start off in this sort of like mundane reality setting, and then like just the most horrible, torturing body horror thing you could imagine, and that's the end of that. The end. So
But I thought they beat up the old man.
well, yes, but there's no like this creature that comes out of the floor. There's no setup for that. It's just usually it's like, oh, he's going to tell the legend of the arcade or something. I don't know, but I liked it. But this reminded me of like a Clive Barker type story where,
right,
these two guys are going to try to extort the old guy. He just kind of tells him to fuck off, because this comic is fucking haunted. And then
this fucking comic is fucking haunted. Fuck.
Yeah. And then they go into the actual arcade, and it's all swampy and full of seaweed, and the old man's like naked there.
It's John Burtis model for that.
I was thinking, yeah, he'd be a perfect
Union
model
Jack shorts.
that. Right. And then
yeah, why would he lose his pants?
Yeah, right.
Or his shirt. Yeah.
Unless I don't know, did they strip him naked? Is he I don't know what happened between the last couple of pages here.
No, that's not good.
It's unclear.
The demon's drawn really well, though.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like. I like Stone Cold Stephen Austin's artwork. As far as that Clive Barker kind of story goes, I thought this was pretty good. Mm-hmm. So saying up front that I prefer the old timey EC Comics thing where you set up this thing and then there's a twist that ties into the setup. I do prefer that because to me that feels like it takes a little, I don't know, I want to say more effort, but it feels like there's a payoff. And then this is just kind of, not to be dismissive or anything, but this is just kind of like, and somebody did something horrific and then something more horrific happened to them at the end. So.
Right. Well, last but not least, Mother's Son. It reminded me of Biff of Bacon when he calls his mother.
Yeah.
And it's written by Adam Cole Clark. Probably pronounced that wrong. Art Gary O'Donnell and lettering Buena. It's chapter 2. I don't think I read chapter 1. The artwork is okay, but I thought this story was confusing as hell. Couldn't make out what was going on with it, and I think I gave up by page 3 or 4.
So, I wanted to give it because it's Dave's comic. I wanted to give it as much of a chance as possible. And so
I did try. I did try and go back in and read a little bit at a time, but I just found it so confusing and all over the place.
There were things about it that also I think this whole comic has too much resolution for my poor little iPad because I can't flip through the pages quickly. It's I'll turn the page and then the screen's white for a while, and eventually I'll get a picture, and then eventually it'll be clear enough to read. So that's what the pauses are about. So I had.
But even if you go to the last page where it cuts to a guy having a shower and then he's leaning down as if he's going to have a wank in the last panel.
Right, which knowing Dave, that probably was the original plan. Yeah. So I didn't. Did you go back and read chapter 1? Is that what you said?
No, I don't have chapter 1.
Okay, so yeah, so I'm sure I read chapter 1 and I kind of don't remember it because it's been a while. So what I got from it was that there's this character, this hooded character who as a boy had a horrible abusive mother, but now he roams the countryside doing good. Um, and then there's this little girl character in the stripy stockings who might be, most likely is a ghost. And then we get flashbacks of his past in the military, um, cut in with him. Now his hood falls away and he's wearing some kind of like two colored mask, like a dark and a white side, which ties into the yin and yang marks that he's got either on his gloves or tattooed on his hands. I'm not exactly
Or
sure.
dangling from the window.
Yeah, that part wasn't subtle. So here's the part that I was confused by. So he goes running towards this truck, opens the back of the truck and sees like a blanket on the ground and is upset, going no 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 as he slams the back of that truck closed. And then he starts pounding on it, which is intercut with like a flashback of somebody pounding on the door of the truck. I don't know if it's whoever was in the truck in the first place, or if he had been locked in a truck, or what. But then he gets on his Obama, cheap ass Obama razor phone, and tells whoever's on the other end, found Molly, postcode. He's talking to the ghost girl and about that he's full of rage and regret and anger. And then they cut to her falling out of a window like that shot from Ghost in the Shell. And then she says she escaped, and it looks like there's a flashback of him getting a tattoo on his face from, is that his mom?
Who
And then
knows?
the car pulls up, and then this is where it really, I couldn't follow it. It's
Yeah, it's weird.
yeah, so it's like the lady runs away saying, "Mommy's here, mommy." It turns out that she's, it's her fur baby dog, and he's got it. I thought he's keeping it in his Winnebago, and then this dog isn't your child. And then this girl is in the car saying, "Don't hurt my uncle." So everything's okay with this family, even though it was set up that maybe it wasn't. Then there's a flashback to him when he's a kid or a teenager and his mom's doing some kind of like shoplifting scam. I don't, and then like he gets paid for the job and everything's fine with that dog family. Um, and then he has this weird hell flashback with his mom. And I'm not even sure what she says has anything to do with anything. Then there's a flashback of the mom getting tased by the cops. And I guess that's the kid being hauled out to social services.
I don't
And
know.
then
It's
they
just all over the place.
yeah, that it was pretty much from the point of the, like you said, like that scene with the family, that I think I get it, but it took a lot of, I had to read it 2 times and I'm not exactly sure I completely understood everything. And I mean, maybe because I don't remember what happened in part 1, or I don't know.
I
But
do like the artwork though.
yeah, it was fun. It's good indie, it's good solid indie comic artwork. So I mean, if they had put that in the Prog, it'd be like, not quite ready for prime time, but for a good indie comic, that's cool.
Yeah. Right. Short, sharp shocks. Fright Christmas. I usually don't care for Loose Stringer's work, but I actually found this pretty funny.
I thought it was pretty
Uh,
funny too.
yeah. Only a couple of things, continuity things. This is an art thing. He gets away with it because it's a comedy strip. In the first panel, where she's holding a gun. Second panel, there's no gun. Fourth panel is no gun, and fifth panel miraculously appears on the bed.
Hmm.
And I'll do a Johnism here. In the first panel, she's holding the gun with her trigger finger already on the figure after she's shot the guy, where she wouldn't know any different. But it was a nice little twist too. A couple of jokes were grown wordy, but suited the strip. Like the finger of suspicion is pointing at you.
Yeah.
His name is Joe Man. Now he's Snowman. You know,
Hmm.
the whole twist is pretty good. I thought it was pretty fun.
He packed a lot into that one page, and I thought that was very, there was so much in there that even the few parts that didn't quite work were just fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great.
Lots of panels that got away with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Flint. Look at how many panels there are and how much reading that is.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 9, 10. But don't forget that comic book is big.
Mm.
It's not American size.
Yeah,
but
well,
pretty good. And on the back we have a poster, Lady Killer by James Fletcher, which is pretty nice. I wonder what actress he based that on.
She's a lady who's a killer.
It's not Carol Monroe, because it looks nothing like Carol Monroe.
No.
So what was your best story in it?
Funny. Well, you want to say it's Dave's, but I really got to go with the gentleman detective story.
The Van Helsing mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go for that. I did love the artwork on Dave's story, and shout out to Lou Stringer for his story, which I usually don't like his stuff, but that was pretty good, pretty funny. But I will give it to the Van Helsing story as well. But I do get the sense that I've read something similar to it before.
Yeah,
so,
I honestly think there was another story with that character, and it was kind of
it's not the character, just the plot, the idea.
So I'm gonna go with the I'm gonna say Dave's was a close second.
Yeah, but it's the only thing that kills Dave is it's a continuing story, and you're gonna have to wait a year for the next part.
Yeah, it's not a super satisfying ending there.
Yeah,
this one wraps up well, and I think even the ones that were kind of awkward, I thought that the artwork was like this Giuseppe Del
yeah, his stuff is good.
Yeah, I mean, he's ready for the Prog. Stone Cold Steve Austin obviously has been in the Prog.
Doesn't mean he's ready for it.
Depends on if he gives a damn. I think depends. And then the ones that wouldn't be ready for the Prog were at least like really good indie level kind of guys. So
yeah. Overall,
yeah.
more hits than misses.
I don't even think the misses. Well, yeah, I mean, some of them were kind of too hard to follow for their own good, but yeah, definitely more hits. Whole show,
and you can see why this is the biggest seller in the 77.
It's probably the most even, and the self-contained stories make all the difference for when it's not coming out, every monthly or weekly or whatever. The ones that we liked the least, or the one that we liked the least, was continued from however long ago. So yeah, I think that should be the secret sauce, is if you're going to have you can have ongoing characters and maybe an ongoing overarching story, but they should kind of lean more into the one and dones. So my advice.
Yeah. Overall, it's still better than reading the Prog.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, there was only one story that had characters standing around talking, and even that one turned out to be our favorite one.
Yeah, our favorite story, actually, I think that rolls back. I think I have read stories like that before, and they're from Tales from the Crypt. There is a lot where the maid, nurse, and the servant is revealed to be the vampire, or the ghoul, or the killer.
Right. And I think the difference too here is that the creators seem to give more of a damn than the Prog. So But yeah, and again with the Prog, like the artwork is pretty close to flawless in most of the stories. It's just the stories themselves are just like, oh, you know, these are all new to everything in here is pretty new to us. So it's not just, you know, you don't have like decades of legacy and stories by John Wagner and Alan Grant that you're comparing them to. So yeah, it's cool.
Right.
It's a
So
good,
I fed the story into Grok, the vampire one.
yeah.
And there was an EC story called The Reluctant Vampire, where the
Oh,
domestic servant is revealed as the true vampire in the end.
oh,
I knew
okay.
I'd read it before.
Interesting.
You
Well,
know.
I stand by my pick.
I always stand by it too. I think it's the best.
Yeah. So, all right.
Vault of Horror 17. Let's see.
So while we're waiting for the Prog to come back, we still got the Blazer annual to do and Uncle Pat's man, Hellbreaker, and did the other one come out, the American Reaper one? Wasn't there a delay in getting that one done?
I think so.
Okay. So
Number 20. It's Vault of Horror number 20. Now I'm obsessed with Fine, where I read that story before.
jeez. Yeah, but don't believe everything you read from AI.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm trying to hunt it down. I'll get it.
We had some guy come into work on Christmas Eve, literally 10 minutes before closing, and he wanted this Christmas picture book about tamales. And the we have a thing that says like one on hand or whatever. And he had two of us try to track it down. I looked at all the places it would likely to be, and he said, well, don't you have a Spanish section where it could be? And I said, I just sorted that section. I would have, had I seen it there, I would have taken it out and put it on the wall and where all the rest of the Christmas books are. So I didn't go through the pantomime of taking them over there and flipping through it or whatever, because also what the on inventory of our website doesn't say is if it's in another customer's basket, if it got stolen, if it was not rung up properly and removed from inventory when it was sold, if somebody bought the book and some kid, the latest thing is that the parents let their kids take the dust jackets off the books.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that's part of the enrichment. So if it was sold without the dust jacket, it may not have been rung up. There's a lot of stuff, but the internet says you have one. So, and then he complained that nobody helped him. It's like, bro, I helped you. My coworker helped you. You went over to the desk. I saw 2 or 3 people there help you. I mean, I don't know if helping means magically conjured the book out of nowhere for you, but apparently that's what you wanted. We can't do that. So what are you going to do? There you
are. Well, yeah. What are you gonna? So, what are your plans for the rest of the day?
I got to sort the Monroe files and edit Zen and prep the kitchen area for the removal of the green screen and the addition of the mighty studio desk.
Cool.
Yeah, how about you?
I got to bring the little shit out for a walk.
Yep.
We'll bring him down to the end of the street and back. Yeah. Little turd, Mr. Bug. And then I got to go out and weed eat a bit and then get stuck into the Caretaker's Tales the last few pages.
How old is the little Mr. Bug?
He's 14.
Ooh.
He's getting up.
Elder gentleman.
Yeah, I'll think he lasted another maybe 3 or 4 years actually with him.
Wow.
Rooney was 16 when he died. Princess was 15, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, but she had a lot of issues.
Yeah. Yes,
But
I remember. I remember
yeah.
that.
So
$6
Bug is
million
smaller.
dog.
Yeah, Bug is smaller than both of them,
Mm-hmm.
and he hasn't got any issues with him
Well,
so
hopefully,
far.
I'm hoping you get your 3 or 4 more years out of him.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see what happens with him.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's it. I think we'll stop recording. Well done, Dave. This Comic Gets Haunted is fantastic.
Yes,
Loved it.
definitely worth the money. Definitely looking forward to the next one. Definitely want to know what happens with your not skullduggery pleasant Brother Bones character. So.
Cut down on the language, young man. That's it.
Isn't he of
These
Irish
kids
descent?
today.
So.
All right, I'll stop recording.